Today, we're diving into a topic that's pretty relevant in today's world. How do we handle guilt when society's expectations clash with our conscience? It's a concept that's tough to navigate, but really, it's something we all face at some point.
Absolutely. I think many people deal with this, especially in work situations. For example, I have a friend who works in construction-related bidding. After the bidding process, he feels like he has to give a rebate to secure the deal, but it really weighs on his conscience. He's wondering if he should stop doing it altogether.
That's a great example. And honestly, his feelings are understandable. It's hard to deal with that kind of moral dilemma. But interestingly, the perspective here isn't that he has to feel guilty. The society we live in, the system we're part of, often forces us into these situations.
So you're saying that if society operates like this, it's almost like he has no choice but to go along with it? That doesn't sound like a satisfying answer, though.
Well, here's the thing. If you don't have the skills to operate in a way that's outside of this system, then society will force you to act a certain way. The key is developing the ability to navigate these situations without getting pulled into them. If he's good enough at his job, there might be a way out of the system that relies on rebates.
Right. So it's about having the right skills to stand out and perform without needing to play by the same old rules?
Exactly. But as it stands, if you haven't developed those skills yet, you'll get caught in the web of the system. The system itself creates these contradictions, and that's why it feels like a moral conflict. It's not really his fault, but it's also not the way it should be.
I see. So if his conscience is weighing on him, does that mean it's time for him to reconsider his position altogether?
Yes, in a way, his conscience might be telling him that he's outgrown the system, or that he's at a crossroads. If he feels guilty, it's a sign that something in the system isn't aligning with his values. But here's the thing. He's not necessarily wrong for participating in it, as society has created this environment. But if it bothers him, he might want to rethink his role in it.
That's really deep. So you're saying his conscience isn't a sign of moral failure, but more like a natural evolution. He's outgrowing the situation?
Yes, it's almost like when someone becomes a thief because the environment pushes them to. If society needs a thief, one will show up. But the thief's time has a limit. Eventually, if they feel guilty about their role, they can't keep doing it. They're no longer fit for that role.
So it's not about the individual being inherently bad. It's about the situation they're placed in?
Exactly. It's about the harmony of grand nature. You can't blame someone for doing something that the environment demands of them. But when their role no longer aligns with their values, they have to step back. That's how things shift.
Interesting. So does this mean that if someone's job requires them to do something they feel guilty about, it's time for them to find a new path?
Yes, or at least reassess their role in the situation. The environment will always push you into certain positions, but it's up to you to decide if it's something you want to keep doing. If you're not comfortable with it, it might be time to move on.
But in the meantime, does it mean they should just accept things as they are? I mean, shouldn't they try to make a change in the system?
That's a great question. But in a competitive society, the reality is that those who survive are often the ones willing to do whatever it takes. However, this doesn't mean they shouldn't aim for better alternatives. Ultimately, if someone can perform better than the system itself, they'll rise above the need for rebates or unethical practices.
So the key is to focus on improving oneself to a point where you don't have to rely on those systems anymore. That way, you're not just surviving, but actually thriving.
Exactly. Don't feel guilty about participating in a system that you're part of, but always strive to produce something that transcends that system. If you can perform well, the rebate system won't be a factor.
This makes so much sense. It's about the time for change. Once you've reached a certain level of success or understanding, you start questioning the system more.
Right. It's natural. When you've had enough of the benefits and advantages, you start to reflect on the system and how it works. That reflection is what brings about change.
And when that change comes, you're ready for it. You don't feel guilty for being in the system. You just realize it's time to move beyond it.
Exactly. It's not about being morally superior. It's about timing. When the time comes, your mind and your environment will naturally align with the change. You'll know when it's time to step back or when you need to adapt.
So the key takeaway here is don't blame yourself for the system you're part of, but work to improve yourself, and the system will eventually shift with you.
Well said. Embrace the time for change when it comes, and always focus on doing your best. When you reach that point, you'll see the path ahead more clearly.